So now let me quickly connect to my management console. As I said, I will show you the Lightsail. Okay, so I need to log on to my management console and I will showcase you the Lightsail. So you will understand how fast it is and how easy it is to launch any service. As we discussed that it's just a matter of minutes, so you will understand literally it works as that. So let me just log on. Oh, what happened? I do understand that there are a lot of questions because we just started with the course, so you'll be having lots of enthusiasm to learn the course. A lot of things, questions definitely will come in your mind. But as I know that those questions will get answered in the upcoming session, that's why I'm not answering the question. So you can, one sec, why it is going here. So those questions will be answered in the upcoming sessions in the services. It's giving me all these things. How come I'm not logged in? Again, I'm logged off. Okay, fine. I think now they have made some changes as we started with the session. So I was wondering why it's giving me all this instead of moving to the console. Okay, so it's so rapidly it is changing that at times it becomes difficult to keep track of the things. But you should be updated with the things. If you're there in the aws.amazon.com regularly, if you visit that site, you will get to know what changes, updations are done. Fine. So now I am in my console. Let's go with the services. As I click on the services, it will highlight. See, so many services are there. So one line we have to discuss on each of these. So you'll understand how much time it takes, right? So we discuss about the compute section. So Lightsail, I'm just going with Lightsail. Why I'm showing you the demonstration of this, assuming that like, see, we do not know anything about EC2. Just assume that I don't know anything about EC2, how to launch and how to what options to be used and all that stuff. So this is very simple for me. Now this is the console of Lightsail. You can see very simple. Hardly you have few things. If you click on AWS, it will go back to your main console. You can check the billing of your Lightsail. And now I'll just go with create instance. Now what type of instance I want, it's highlighting me Linux, Unix or Windows, okay, operating system and the the region. So if you want, you can change the region. Right now it is showing Mumbai region, so I just want to launch in this region, or I can change it. Let's say I am selecting Linux. Now whether you want just an operating system or you want along with application like OS along with application to be deployed together. So it is like showing you some of the combinations, so you can choose from these combinations, and it will not just launch your server, virtual server, it will even launch with the application, the OS with the application, right? So and look at the part, the charging part is highlighted. So first month is free, so anyhow we are not going to it will not be charged to us. So I'll just go with operating system at this point, so that will be quickly launched, and I'm selecting Amazon Linux. That's it. I'll just give click on create. Only the region was highlighted. I went to the same region. I selected the same. If you want, you can change the region. You can select the operating system, the application. That's it. And it's getting created. You can see it is showing the status as pending. It will take hardly some minutes to create this instance. And I can just connect. So it's so fast and so easy to do this. This is a virtual private server, your Lightsail. We don't have to give any RAM, CPU. That's what Sunita. It still give us that option. I did not customize anything. It was highlighting the option at the down last window. If you want, you can choose, or you can just go with the minimum default thing, and later, if you want, you can upgrade. These things are available. Yeah, those things reconfigurable. Okay. So now see, you can see it's the running state. What I have to do, just I can click here to connect, or here also I have option connect. That's it. It's as simple as that. If you look at this top, you can see Amazon Linux 512 MB Mumbai. It's giving the information. Okay, it's connected now, and this is a Linux operating system. If you know Linux, we can start using the commands. Okay, so it's so simple. It just took some minutes to. I'm just closing this. It just took some minutes to launch an instance, right? So it's a virtual private server, and as I said, if you do not have any information on the configurable things and all, you can use this. What what is that? What private would you have here? What does that mean? Private. Oh, you mean to say the as the name suggests? Privilege. Okay, you mean to say privilege. The privilege? What kind of privilege? I'm not getting where the privilege is coming here. I am the root, right? I logged in with my account, right? So I am the root, so I have privilege to do all the changes on the operating system level. Yes, correct. Yeah. Instances in one server in one. Yes. So I have all the permission. I can, as you asked earlier, like patching, installing the application. I have all the rights because I am the root. Okay. If I am an IAM user, then it will be based on the roles as well as policies. I will be able to perform the activity. Okay. Fine. So this is done. I will just terminate this, delete, use it, delete it. That's the best thing. Nothing will be replicated by default. It is up to you. You have to do the configuration. You have to enable the redundancy or the availability part. Okay, it will not. There are few services, but those are managed services. If it is a managed service, definitely the things Amazon will take care for replication. Okay, availability part. But if it is not a managed service, it will be a the customer responsibility. Okay, so shall I go back to the now moving to the next set of services, next section is storage section. Again a very important section, and we have again a dedicated topic for this S3, right? So in case if you feel that there are few things which are not clear at this point because we are just having an overview, do not get demotivated. We will discuss everything in detail with the demonstration, so your questions and your all doubts will be cleared. Okay, so you just have to have little patience till we reach to that particular topic, right? Now S3. So the very first storage service is S3, stands for simple storage service. It is a object based storage. Now what does that mean, object based? Object means any type of object or any type of file you can keep in the S3. Okay, it's an unlimited storage. Now any type of file means you can keep a text file, you can keep a audio file, video file, you can keep any format file. That's why it is object based. So any type of object is supported. You can store it in S3 bucket. It keeps the data in a bucket, and it's an unlimited data storage. So you don't have to think of if I want to keep petabyte of data or exabyte of data, will it be having sufficient space? You do not have to think on that part. You just start storing your data, and it can hold a large amount of data. Another thing with S3 is that since it is object based, you cannot install any operating system, you cannot create any file system, you cannot install any database on S3. It is just for storing the data. It is as good as your storage. Okay, just like your external hard disk, wherein you just keep the data. You cannot install any OS or a application or a file system. Just act as a storage. Okay. S3, what type of file system does it use? I have no idea. If you check out like on an external hard disk, Manish, can you tell me what type of file system is used on an external hard disk on a pen drive? Do you have any idea on that? You copy some data on the pen drive, right? Pen drive, but pen drive, if it is just supporting FAT32 format, it will not hold the data of other operating system, right? Are you getting my CDFS is actually for Joseph. It is for CD, right? This the file system and all, the CDFS and all. It's the Unix concept. Okay, but see, it is not holding any file system. If it is holding any file system, then it will become specific to the operating system. If you say FAT32 and NTFS, Manish, that will become specific to Windows data, correct? And it should not hold any Unix data then, or non-Unix, non-Windows data. It should not support extended FAT. So what about the other operating system apart from Linux and Windows? Does it support all other format? That's the point, right? So this is like S3. It is not highlighted anywhere in the AWS documentation that what type of file system does it uses. Okay. It is just mentioned that it is an unlimited data storage available in the cloud, and you can keep any type of data. It is not a block level storage, Manish. It is a object based storage. We have EBS for a block level. Okay, there is another storage type, but this is an object based. Fine. It should be, yeah, it could be, it should be, Shubh. But what type of file system does it uses? It's as I have read the documentation, the white papers on S3, I have not come across the file system name highlighted by Amazon. Okay, yeah, Fine. So coming to the next, and you have the 5 GB of data is free. It's like a Dropbox. It's just like a Dropbox. 5 GB of data is free, just like Dropbox also 5 GB data is free. That after 5 GB, if you're keeping any data, it's chargeable. Okay. So now for practical things and all for learning, it's more than sufficient 5 GB of data to learn the ST thing. Then we have another service that is CloudFront. As we have discussed earlier with edge location, okay, it's a CDN service. The name of the service is CloudFront. It's used once we configure CloudFront. Now let's say now developer has kept some data on an S3 bucket. Okay, let's say a website is deployed or some data is there. Now this data is used, this website or the data is used by the users located in different geography, and this S3 bucket is lying in the Mumbai region or it is lying in the US region, and users are using from different region or from different countries. Now they will definitely experience a latency. So to reduce the latency, what developer has done, developer has distributed the data which is present in an S3 bucket close to the end user, right, by using a CDN service, that is CloudFront. So developer has to, or the user, the AWS user or the developer, whoever, has to configure the CloudFront. So what it does, the developer has to configure the web distribution, and by using that, the CloudFront will take the data, pick the data from the bucket, and will distribute it on all the edge locations, whatever you have configured, and the edge locations are close to the user. So just to reduce the latency, this CloudFront is used. Okay. Can S3 be used as a file share or NAS solution? Yes, it's a storage available in your network. Okay. Then we have next type of storage, elastic file system. Is it clear, Vasant? Next is elastic file system. It is elastic file system. It's like a virtual hard disk you have in your cloud. It is a block based storage. Okay. The advantage of elastic file system is that you can share this with multiple instances. You can see a multiple instance can share the same elastic file system. So it can be attached to multiple EC2 instances, and it's a virtual hard disk. Virtual hard disk is created out of a physical hard disk, right? Let's say I have one physical hard disk and I can create multiple virtual hard disks out of the physical hard disk, and each virtual hard disk I can give it to one instance. So that concept is used over here. Okay, you can and once this virtual disk is given to the instance, you can have the operating system on that virtual disk, you can install the database, you can have the file system, because it is a block based storage. Okay, yeah, it is like a shared storage. Correct, Sunita. Comparing S3 with Azure, definitely Azure will also be having some kind of storage, object based storage, but I have no idea on the service name of that, Vasant. Okay, as I have not worked on the Azure, so I cannot tell you the service name, but yeah, every cloud provider, see, the services are there. Okay, more or less you will get same set of services, but only the names are different, and how to use it, little features and the usability is little different, right? But otherwise you will be having definitely. Okay. Elastic file systems can be scaled up as per requirement, right? Elastic file system scaling up means it is not elastic file system scaling up, it is scaling on the instance side. Sarvesh, you are scaling it on the instance. Let's say I want to add one more virtual disk, I can attach it to my existing instance. Okay, because scaling on the server we always do. We do not have to do scaling on the. It's assume that your EFS is your physical hard disk, right? And then you're creating multiple virtual disks out of your physical. So when you're attaching a virtual disk to one instance, you can even attach multiple virtual disks to any instance. So that is how you are scaling. Is it clear, Sarvesh? Okay, what Rajiv says, what is bucket term you use? Bucket is just like, yeah, you can compare it like a folder. The terminology used in S3 is a bucket wherein we keep our data, files, and all that. Okay, it's like a folder. Joseph, like a load balancer, for what it is? Multiple instance can write the data in, yeah, that's correct. That's correct, Anujit, because your hardware is shared, your EFS is shared across your instance. Okay, for EFS, it's not like a load balancer, Joseph. You cannot call it as a load balancer. It is not doing load balancing. It is like optimal utilization of a resource. I have a large amount of disk, a big amount of disk. When I am attaching the physical disk to one instance, the entire disk will become part of that instance, right? I cannot share the disk to other. So if I, instead of assigning a physical disk, if I create a virtual disk out of that, it will allow me to share. So it's like better utilization of resources, Joseph. Yes, correct. Storage pool. Okay. Yeah, you can call it like a SAN. Ash, it's right. Your EFS can be like a SAN. Exactly. Mounting the learn in multiple instances. That's perfectly right. Out of the SAN, you create learn and you allocate to multiple. Okay, that's right. Fine. So that is about your EFS. Then moving to next type of storage, we have Glacier. Glacier is used for long-term backup archiving service in the cloud. Long-term backup archiving. Let's say I just want to keep some document or for long-term archive. So instead of keeping it in my the standard, I am not using it. Let's say okay, let me give a simple example. I have a laptop with internal hard disk, and if I keep everything in that internal hard disk, it will get fill up fast, right? So the documents, the things which I'm not using on a regular basis, what I will do, I'll just take a backup of that on an external disk, on an external media, so that I can free up the space on my internal disk, right? So that external disk definitely it will come with a it's cheaper option, as well as it will give me more space in my laptop. Likewise, in the cloud environment, we have a Glacier service. If you can transfer your less oftenly used data for long-term archiving, you can keep it in your Glacier. So compared to your standard storage, standard S3 storage, this is comparatively it is cheaper, okay, and it's used for long-term archive. But at the same time, it will, if you want the data back immediately, you cannot get it back immediately. It takes some time, some hours required to get the data back from the Glacier. Immediate access will not be possible with Glacier. But if you are keeping it in a S3 bucket, you can always get it immediately, okay. So the data which is important but not required immediately. Fine. Okay, let me just there are a few questions. That is what I was asking about Store Simple, which is similar to Glacier. Okay. Okay. So is that the name of the service in Azure, Vasant? Store Simple. Okay, great. Fine. Thanks. Thanks for that information. So Glacier is tape drive backup, a kind of tape drive. Very nice, very good, Manish. It's kind of a tape drive backup. So it takes some time, like you will have to mount the tape, or you'll have to connect the drive to your server and get the data. So some time, just comparing with that, what example you gave. Okay. So it's used for long-term archive. So as per my understanding, it's used to migrate the data to the cloud. It is no, Anujit. Glacier it can be used to migrate the data from your on-premises data center. It can be used within the from. I have kept some data in S3 bucket. Okay, now I am not using it. So what S3 bucket prices compared to Glacier are little on a higher side. So if I am not using it regularly, I will just transition or migrate the data to Glacier. So the charges incurred will be less. Okay, so it is cost-effective option. Fine. So we will discuss this in the storage topic. We will discuss the life cycle management rules. Fine. So in that we will see how can we transfer the data from S3 bucket to Glacier or from some other type. Right. I will showcase you the demonstration. What is what was it? Is backup? Do we have any appliance that sits on-prem and to sync the data? Yes, we do have a set. We will come to that particular visual from how to transfer the data from your data center to the AWS cloud. Okay, it's yet to come, that particular thing. Yes, you can use this storage backup. See, S3 itself is your storage backup solution on the cloud. Okay, but the question wasn't asked. For that, there is another service that we will have to use. Okay, storage gateway we have to use, so that we can transfer the data from on-prem to the S3. But S3 itself is your long-term archive solution. But there are certain life cycle management rules which we have to use to transfer it to other, you can say, other type of storage like Glacier or any other type, right? Now moving to, your question is in the next visual itself, that is storage gateway. So storage gateway is used to increase the capacity of stored files such as Word document. In short, in simple language, storage gateway is used to migrate your data from your on-prem data center, you can see down on-prem data center is given, to your AWS cloud. Let's say I want to extend my storage to the cloud, or I want to keep the backup of my data in the AWS cloud. Okay, my data is there in data center, my own data center. So I can use the storage gateway. Now what storage gateway, what we have to do, we have to configure the storage gateway on any one virtual machine. We will configure the storage gateway. Okay, once it is configured, it will automatically start replicating the data from my data center to the AWS cloud. So there are a few steps involved in the storage gateway, and remember always the storage gateway service is used in the hybrid environment. This is a hybrid environment wherein I have my resources lying in my data center and my backup is I am keeping in my AWS cloud. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to order a storage gateway, then we have to download the software client in virtual machine, install it, configure it. Once that is done, it's automatically start replicating the data from your data center to the AWS cloud. Okay, so it's a continuous replication. So it's a cheaper way to extend your storage from on-prem to cloud. Okay. Yes, Sunita, you're right. It's for migration of data from on-prem to cloud. Manish, detention period of S3 and all, that's totally in your hand. But You can keep, if you want, you can keep it for a long time. You can just configure it how long it should hold the data and after what time we should remove the data from S3 file. Okay, so all S3 questions we will take up in the S3 topic, and how to set the retention period I will show you that in the demonstration. Fine. Okay. Difference between S3 and storage gateway. See, storage gateway, it is used to migrate the data from data center to the cloud, right? But in the cloud, where are you migrating? You are migrating on a S3 only, right? So storage gateway is used for migration, and S3 is used for storing that data what is getting migrated from on-prem to your AWS cloud. Is it clear? Okay. Now moving to, I have not skipped anything, right? Okay, moving to Snowball. We have another service, that is Snowball. Now see, we have a storage gateway, right? But once you configure storage gateway, it is a continuous migration of the data, right? From data center to your cloud. But let's say I have a huge amount of data, okay? Archive data, lot of data is there residing in my data center. And if I transfer that data over internet, let's say exabyte or petabyte of data is there. If I start transferring that data over internet, definitely it will eat up lot of bandwidth and it will be a slow process. Instead, what I can do, I can use a Snowball. Okay, a Snowball, it's like a import export service. It's actually used to move large amount of data quickly from your on-prem to your AWS. Okay, just like I have an external hard disk, I'm transferring the data to external hard disk from one machine and then moving it to another system and copying it back. It's just like that. So it's a device which you have to order from Amazon. You will have to place an order for import export Snowball. It comes in different sizes. You have 80 terabyte, 50 terabyte, 100 terabyte sizes capacity, and Amazon will ship that Snowball device to your on-prem data center. You will have to hook that device to your server, copy the data, and then that Snowball device will be sent back to the AWS data center. There they will start copying the data. Okay, so that is a Snowball device. It's an import-export service, and the data is kept in encrypted form. It uses AES 256-bit encryption for copying the data. The data is transferred in encrypted form. Fine. So this, when large amount of data has to be transferred, this is the best option. It is like a rugged suitcase. Either you can use Snowball, or we have another, let's say this has in terabytes, right? The largest size supported is 100 terabytes. But suppose you have larger than that, you can even go for Snow Mobile. We have another device, Snow Mobile. It's actually a truck. It's a big container which is used to transfer large amount of data from on-prem to the cloud. Okay, so petabyte, exabyte of data is supported by this. So again, you have to place an order. They will ship this and copy the data and back to the cloud. That is how the transfer is done. Okay, so now we have done with storage. I will just check out the questions and then we'll to next section. Okay. Yeah, Darshan says, how long it takes to retrieve the data from Glacier? It is few hours, Darshan. Is there time lag while accessing data from S3 and from Glacier? Yes. Just hold on, guys. I can see a lot of questions on the storage part. Can you please hold on your questions till we start with S3 topic? Okay. Everything will be discussed. I have a table of the information wherein the comparison of all S3, Glacier, RR, infrequent, and all everything. There are different types. Okay. So all the comparison is highlighted. How much time it takes, what is the cost incurred, and how much data it can hold. All that information is there. Fine. So just request you to hold on the questions, because these questions are not just based on the overview what we have discussed so far. Fine. Next, storage gateway is configured, will migrate automatically. Yeah, it will migrate automatically. Once the storage gateway is configured, it will automatically start replicating the data. You do not have to do. It's like one-time configuration and start it. Continuous replication of data happens. Okay. Sunita says it's like a storage device where you have to give it. Yes, that's correct. Snow Mobile and Snowball is a physical device which you are using to transfer your data. See, the time it totally the time is totally based on how much data you are transferring. Okay. Saving and replaying, it totally depends on how much data you are transferring. It depends on how at what speed you are transferring the data. Okay, you are hooking that, you are connecting that storage mobile, Snow Mobile and Snow Ball device to your this one network, right? So what speed it comes in 10 gig, 1 gig, various sizes it has. So depending on the size, depending on the amount of data, okay, and depending on the location, where are you located. Okay, so all these factors come into picture. That tells you the exact time required for that to transfer the data back to the cloud. Okay, fine. So we have done with the next section.